So my company here is Polaris Industries. I just picked this at random. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on their website to either investor relations, company, investors, something like that. Sometimes it'll be called corporate information. And this will have information. This is where you should be able to find your annual report. You're looking for the last 2 annual reports. And what you want to do in passing is you just want to look a little bit about the company, of course. So you look and see, what are some of the things the company does. So they make ATVs, motorcycles, pretty cool, Victory and Indian motorcycles, snowmobiles, electric cars, and generators. Okay, so I'm specifically looking now for annual reports. So here you can see an item that says annual reports. Another place you may go to is called SEC filings. I'm going to start with annual report though. And here you can see the most recent annual report and different sections. And they have a whole file of annual reports right here that you can download in different formats. So I can just take, it's kind of interesting, 2012 is not in a PDF. Let's see. There it is. So specifically, it's called Annual Report, and here's a PDF of the annual report. So I'm just going to download it. Project. And I'm also going to download the previous year. So I downloaded 2013. Oops, I'm going to go here. You'll see why you actually need 2 annual reports. Here's the 2012 one. I'm going to, there must be a way to download this in PDF. And I don't see it. Oh, download PDF. There we go. Now, another way to do this, I'm showing you a few different ways because students sometimes have trouble. Another way to do this is to look for Form 10K. 10K. So under SEC filings, you're going to specifically look for annual filings, or you can just enter into the keyword search 10K. And you're going to look for Form 10K. So here you can see annual report 10K. Click on the PDF and then download. And the 10K usually doesn't have all the glossy stuff, but it has a lot of information. Now it's good if you see an Excel file with the 10K, you may need that. So it's worth downloading that too. I don't know, it's not downloading. There it is. That always helps you too. Any questions so far? Another thing you can do is go to sec.gov. And look for a website called Edgar. Search Edgar for company filings. Because all annual reports are filed in the Edgar system. And then enter the name of your company. Sometimes you may have trouble. You may see companies with similar names. In which case what you would do is you would look for the company that is in your industry. So here, there's a lot of these different companies here. Next 40, oh my goodness. Mine is Polaris Industries Miscellaneous Transportation Equipment. That's the name of the company, Polaris Industries. So Inc., Miscellaneous Transportation Equipment, Geothermal, Partners Fund, these are other companies. Aircraft, I don't know what all that stuff is. So sometimes it takes a little hunting around to find exactly what you're looking for. And then you're going to look for filing type 10K. Here you go, documents. And sometimes you can download a PDF here. Sometimes it's just HTML and it's a little hard to read. So that's why I usually tell students go to the website first. And then here they have this format, it's called XBRL, it's called. But you can take one approach to the other. The next thing that you do now is you go to the Seton Hall website. See here, we're one of the best colleges, top tier U.S. News and World Reports. Oh, the name of your company is in Blackboard under My Grades. Good question. Go to the Blackboard site for the class. It's under My Grades. Go to this class, which is, let's see, which is my class? I'm the instructor for all the sections. I think mine is AA. No. There I am, okay. Because I have all the other instructors in my system too. And if you go to, do I have the videos for the project? I don't even know if I have them. Okay, you go to project, and you can see here, here's the instructions which I distributed in the first class. If you weren't here, you could download them here. These are guidelines for the spreadsheet. They're just set by Stillman. You should read them in case you don't remember them. You should have had this in another class. But if you didn't, they're just guidelines on how to prepare a spreadsheet. And we're all supposed to follow those now. Key is this project spreadsheet template. This is what you're going to do your work in. So when you open this spreadsheet, the first thing that you do is you change the name. To your name. And here it is. So you're going to do most of the work here. My company name is Polaris Industries. The balance sheet date is, I'm not even sure. Let's look it up. The balance sheet date is, they have all this nice stuff about the company. Read it, learn all about your company. And by the way, companies provide this information in a lot of different ways. So if you're having trouble, that's what office hours are for. You want to look at this sooner rather than later to make sure you're able to get the data that you need. There are a few companies there's sometimes companies that got bought out and things since we started, since I made my list. In which case, again, you want to make sure your company's around, make sure you can get all the information that you need, and do it sooner rather than later. Don't do this the night before. A lot of students who try to do this the night before get stuck. So here you can see, for example, this is the company's balance sheet. Their auditor is EY. This is their balance sheet. This is the income statement. This is something called Statement of Comprehensive Income. It's like an income statement, statement of stockholders' equity, just like we've been talking about, and statement of cash flows. Now, I'm interested in knowing when is their year end. So here you can see the balance sheet is December 31st, 2013. So I write that here, December 31st, 2013. My name is Mark Holtzman, and today's date is September 12th, 2014. Okay. The next thing to do is to list your inputs. Now this information, I wouldn't do this, the best way to do this, let me just make sure I'm doing it the way that I'm explaining it here. I don't want to don't want to confuse you. This is what takes the most time usually. That's part one. Wait a second. Yeah, completed part one. It doesn't really tell you how to do this. This is the best. I think the best way to do this, but there's a shortcut that you can use also, is to actually copy this balance sheet in. So since I was able to get an Excel spreadsheet, it's pretty easy for me to do. If you're not able to, you can take a shortcut. I'll show you what it is in a moment. Let's see where it is. There it is. There's the Excel spreadsheet. So this is the annual report in Excel. And then you kind of have to scroll through it to find the balance sheet. Here we go. So if you can get the Excel spreadsheet of the annual report, not every company has one, and then just copy, go here to our template, and I have a tab here set up for the original balance sheet. So just paste it in here. And do the same thing for the income statement and the other ones. Just copy them from the company's spreadsheet into your own. Then when you're adding these things up, we're going to do something called a condensed balance sheet. And I'll talk a little bit about this in a few minutes, how to do it. But for example, current assets for the current year would be equal to, go over here to the original balance sheet, the sum of all of these current assets. Or what you could even do, this is even simpler, is you can just link to the total. So here, current assets is equal to original balance sheet, and the numbers right here, 865,698. For the prior year, go to the balance sheet. For December 31st, 2012, current assets was $1,017,000,000. And there's a problem here. This happens. And this is why this was not written in as a value. There we go. Now it'll work. So these kinds of things happen, and this is why you have to give yourself time to do this. And now I don't know why it's not showing up. There's a hand way you can do it, and that's to do all of these individually and just print it out, add it up by hand, and then type the number in. And since this is an input sheet, you're allowed to do that here. You don't have to recalculate everything directly. And actually I'm doing the wrong sheet. Why didn't you correct me? I'm doing the input sheet here. Let me do this again. Original balance sheet, maybe now it'll work. 865,698. Prior year, original balance sheet, 1,017. No, it still doesn't work. I don't know why. Oh, because it's a double cell? This is a weird thing. Because it split this cell for some reason. There it is. Now, here's the thing though. You need a third year from 2 years ago, what we call a base year. You're going to need this. Annual reports usually only have 2 years in the balance sheet. So that's why you needed to do 2 balance sheets. If you remember at the beginning, I downloaded this year's 10K and last year's 10K. Or this year's annual report, last year's annual report. So you need to do 2 years annual reports so that you're able to get that first year of the balance sheet in. I didn't do that with Excel, but that's one of the things that you'll need to do. And then pick out what the property, plant, equipment, goodwill, other assets are so that they total up to total assets. So you may need to group some things together. For example, I'm going to use this because it's easier to see. This is your current assets, 865,698. Property, and plant, and equipment is all of this together, all these things here together. So it's going to be 455,167. Another thing here, goodwill and other intangible assets would be, let's see here, goodwill and other intangible assets. Okay, that's one item. Then, other assets is going to be everything that I didn't include in the other categories. So I didn't include investment in finance affiliate, investment in other affiliates, deferred tax asset, whatever that is, or other long-term assets. So I'm going to add those items together, and then the total should be equal to 1685, right there. Same thing for current assets and long-term liabilities. In the company's financial statements, here you can see current liabilities is right here, 748,070. But long-term liabilities is going to be the total of all of these. And then again, total liabilities should be equal to this, 1141, or whatever it is for your company. So the steps here that you need to do in the spreadsheet would be to do this condensed balance sheet, which has limited information in it, and also to do a condensed income statement. We're going to be going over the income statement next Friday. So you'll have more background. It'll be easier to do that then. But if I were you, I would at least try to do the balance sheet in the next week so you get it over with and you know that that's done. Look up the financial statements, get the balance sheet. We're also going to do a condensed statement of cash flows, and there's a few other things that you may need for your ratios. Where are your ratios? Over here. Think about other measures that you may need in order to calculate these ratios. If you're not sure how the ratios are calculated, it's all in the spreadsheet. So, for example, asset receivable turnover, we haven't talked about that, is revenues divided by accounts receivable. Well, I'm going to give something away. Accounts receivable is another asset that I'm going to need that number, and it's not asked for anywhere up here. So one of the additional data needed here is going to be accounts receivable. Just giving that one away, but there's a couple of others also. I don't think you need to do industry ratios yet for this part of it. I think industry ratios are part 2, but let me make sure. Yeah, additional data needed for ratio computations is part of part 2. So for part 1, it's not really clear what puts part 1 and part 2 here. We revised this. Yeah, I need to clarify this. Part 1, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to fill out these condensed financial statements and then also do common size balance sheet, trend analysis on the balance sheet, and then common size income statement and trend analysis on the income statement. We changed the project this year, and I cut a lot of material out of the project, but I have a feeling I cut something out that I should have left in. Okay, but I'm explaining it to you here, and it's going to be on the video. I don't know if I'll have the video posted tonight. I'll probably over the weekend I'll be able to do that. But that and industry ratios you don't have to worry about until part 2. Are there questions about how to download the financial statements or how to get started on the spreadsheet? The spreadsheet itself is going to be due on, you got a little time here, September 29th. So you'll have seen the whole income statement next week before this comes due. And the way that you submit this, I haven't yet posted the links, but there'll be a link here where you can upload it. And then it's all graded online. Questions? And as a side note again, I sent out this email. You want to do a Google search, that Google, I forgot what it's called, where it sends you an email every day about the company. Google.com/alerts. Google Alerts, yeah. So you want to try to do a Google Alerts to find out more about your company. And when you do the annual report, I'm skipping around here, but if I were doing this company, I would start here at the beginning and read all about the company and read about what they do and begin to try to understand how the company makes money. Because that's really going to be key. How does this company here, it appears they sell sort of ATV and electric vehicles and stuff, and obviously at a profit, you would hope. But another company, you may have a defense contractor. It's a different kind of business, or a hospital, different kind of business. Questions about this?